This movie reminds me of something familiar.
You remind me of a West Side Story.
What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. I feel like dancing, but I can't. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the brand new Steven Spielberg film, West Side Story, dropping in theaters this weekend. I need to know, are you guys seeing this? Were you excited about it? Leave your comments down below, and if you like this review, be sure to drop your thumbs up. Let's get into it. So this is an adaptation of the 1957 musical. West Side Story explores forbidden love and the rivalry between the Jets and the Sharks, two teenage street gangs of different ethnic backgrounds. So a remake in a sense, right? Of course, we had the original West Side Story film, but Steven Spielberg himself has said he's basing this more so off of the musical and obviously changing a few things about what that original movie did. So I appreciate that fact, and I appreciate the fact that it's Steven Spielberg doing a musical. That's cool, and that got me excited, as it should everyone else. But there was this hesitation going into this film. I said to myself, I don't know if a West Side Story film in 2021, if it's going to do it for me. You know, it has to have the right balance of great performances, a story that's, updated, done in a way that I believe does justice to certain things, and then, of course, you have to deliver on things like the cinematography, because if you don't nail the visual aspect of West Side Story, especially when it's Steven Spielberg behind the camera, well, it's just not going to work out. And boy, I had no clue Steven Spielberg had this in him. And I'm talking strictly from a director's standpoint. It is one of the best directed movies I have seen all year, and one of the better directed musicals. Now, this has been a year for musicals, from In the Heights to Tick, Tick, Boom. And I'll be honest with you, I've liked most of them. You can even throw Encanto in there. Is that all three? Lin-Manuel Miranda? Well, Steven Spielberg saying, listen, youngins, I know I've been out of the game for a while, but let's see what I've got. And boy, does he really show what he's made of here behind the camera. It's incredible to look at. It's one of the more visceral, visual, stunning cinematic experiences. And I go back to the Scorsese meme. This is cinema. It feels like cinema just because of the way that it's constructed. And I've actually seen some complaints on Twitter about the cinematography and about the visuals, and I'm just like, I don't get it. I mean, if there's one aspect of this movie I could never foresee, after seeing it, of course, people complaining about, it's the visuals, because they're just incredible. And what I love about Kaminsky's cinematography here is he takes a step back and allows the audience to see every movement and every moment and every little splash of color that they need to see in the background. And we're talking set pieces and production design. And when it comes to the technical aspects of the Oscars, I expect so many of those nominations specifically because it is a visceral experience. I love the way this was constructed. The shot that we see in the trailer where the shadows are converging when both of these gangs are meeting up at a point in the film, that's one of my favorite shots, genuinely, that I've seen from Spielberg in years. It looks great, but he's also showing a different side of himself because he's handling a story that has to be so meticulously crafted to work, because there are elements about the original West Side Story film that do not work. And I think the one thing that this comes down to, other than the visuals, which I could talk about all day, is the cast. Let's start with fellow content creator Rachel Zegler, which I think is the coolest thing ever. Her facial expressions are what I want to focus on here, and deconstructing her performance is one thing, and there's a lot of good that shines through that shows me she's going to be big in the future. I'm talking like massive star. But what she's able to do here, emoting through the most minor expression, but as she's singing, giving us something with her eyes every now and then that tells me that she understands exactly what this character is feeling and thinking and processing at that moment. And it's hard to find that in many other performances this year. We've seen it a couple of times. Some great performances this year. The Oscars, it's going to be tough to nail a couple of these down. And I don't know if she gets the nomination here just because of the talk surrounding other individuals. But let me tell you, I would vote for, well, I may actually be about to fill out my ballot for the Critics' Choice Awards. I would vote for her today, at least for a nomination, because she is truly remarkable. Every ounce of screen time that she gets, it feels like she's been doing this for a long time, and that's really cool. Another powerhouse performance, though, and one that we cannot forget about, is Ariana DeBose, who plays Anita in this film. Every time she's on screen, my attention goes from whatever's happening over here, and she understands that a lot is riding on her performance. A couple of emotional scenes in the third act, and if you've seen West Side Story, we obviously know what's going to happen in this film, switching up a couple of things here and there, but it's not really about knowing how this all wraps up and where the story goes. It's more about the execution here, and honestly, the performances are so good, the experience is so interesting and fascinating, and most importantly, mesmerizing, you kind of forget what's going to happen to these characters, and you are rooting for the right thing to happen, for the fighting to stop, for misunderstanding each other, all of that. I mean, if we just sat down and discussed, well, first of all, the world would be a lot better place, but just the feeling that I'm getting watching this and seeing these two groups constantly go at it. It's an unnerving and often frustrating feeling that evokes so many emotions, but the story is so focused and honed in on the core relationship, a relationship comprised of Zegler, who is incredible. Also, Ansel Elgort, who, didn't do a ton in this movie, and I understand the controversy surrounding him. I don't want to let that sink the ship, right? So I'm just going to focus on his performance, and it was fine. Nothing took me out of it, but really, it's the two leads I talked about, and one more. David Alvarez. Rita Moreno is brilliant, but she's not in the film as much as I wanted her to be. I mean, she could have been in every scene, but David Alvarez, you're talking Oscar nomination. I mean, you're talking nominations for a lot of these individuals, but he is so good. Oh my God, there is a scene in there that he gets, and along with that, these performers, they're nailing the choreography, especially DeBose and Alvarez. The scene where everybody's on the dance floor, there is conflict, the way that entire scene was constructed, but man, the choreography, and when they are working their way through the streets of New York, singing and dancing and all of it coming together, man, I was, again, floored with those scenes. I used to say, well, I'm not that into musicals, but this year, I think I've kind of changed my tune. Musical pun. Nailed it. My only major issue, other than one or two scenes where the pacing was just a bit off, is at times it feels like some of the performers, even the ones that I've praised, are overdoing it. Maybe the emotions don't quite match what the scene requires at that moment, and these were few and far in between, absolutely, but there were times where there's an expression or something that is presented that feels much more like a Broadway show type line delivery rather than one that's supposed to be put on film, and that was a bit off from the rest of the movie. That was the only time I found myself like, okay, I wish the execution here was a bit better, because the rest of the movie, it feels so cinematic, and then we'll get a couple of moments where I'm like, it may be overdoing it, and I would compare and contrast to the other West Side Story, but it's been so long since I have seen it. If I had to choose one, that one didn't stick in my brain near as much as this one did, so I would absolutely choose this Steven Spielberg 2021 version. So before I give you guys my score, I want to say thank you so much for watching. Hey, if you like this review and you want to see more from me, maybe Spider-Man No Way Home next week, a little bit early, be sure to drop that thumbs up button down below and let me know what's the best musical of 2021. West Side Story is stunning. Plenty of hesitation going in, but Spielberg delivers numerous textbook examples of how to fully capture incredible musical numbers. It's a visual spectacle. Rachel Zegler and Ariana DeBose give powerhouse performances, and I thought this was an excellent film, and I didn't think I was going to think that. I could have constructed that better. I'm going to 93% with my score. I love a good surprise, but I should have never doubted Steven Spielberg. That's on me. I need you guys down below letting me know, did you enjoy this film? How do you feel about the original? Have you ever watched the actual Broadway show? I'm going to be in New York this weekend, so maybe we should go watch West Side Story or something else. What should I see in New York? Should I see the Rockettes or a Broadway show? We're still planning and we're leaving tomorrow. That's a problem. Okay, come back because tomorrow my review for Don't Look Up, and this weekend, most surprising movies of 2021.